I wasn't speeding. I wasn't weaving between lanes. I wasn't blasting music or checking my phone. I was just driving a new guy in town, cruising down a sun-bleached stretch of highway with the windows down, the AC on low, and a quiet kind of excitement humming beneath my ribs. That's when I saw the lights, red and blue, swirling like a storm behind me. I checked my speed again, still well under the limit. My tags were up to date. My record was clean, cleaner than theirs, though they didn't know that yet. So I pulled over calmly, like I'd done a dozen times back in the city during traffic stops that went exactly nowhere. But this wasn't the city. This was Mapleton County. Population 3,800, mostly quiet, mostly white, and apparently very curious about what a black man was doing behind the wheel of a fully loaded Dodge Charger with out-of-state plates. The two officers stepped out like they were in a training simulation, hands on holsters, wide stances, like I was about to leap out with a bazooka. One of them, a tall, pale guy with a sunburned neck, tapped the window with his flashlight before I even reached for my registration. I could already see how this was going to go. They didn't ask why I was driving through. They didn't ask where I was headed. They asked if the car was mine. Then they asked if I had any drugs or weapons on me. Then they asked me to step out. It's funny. The badge in my glove box weighed more than their questions, but I let them have their moment. I didn't flash credentials. I didn't reach for anything. I just followed instructions. Hands where they could see, like I'd rehearsed this scene all my life. Because I had, they patted me down like I was sticky with guilt. One of them, the shorter one, freckled and twitchy, asked if I'd been drinking. When I said no, he frowned. Like that wasn't the answer he wanted. Within 5 minutes, I was cuffed. Sitting on the curb, like some roadside display, my crime existing in the wrong zip code, while black behind the wheel of a car I could afford. They ran my name, ran the plates, called it in, like they'd caught a kingpin. And when dispatch came back quiet, no warrants, no priors, nothing. They looked disappointed, but not as disappointed as they'd be once I got to the station. Bạn thấy giống kẻ và lời triển khai này ổn chứ? Nếu đồng ý, tôi sẽ tiếp tục viết cho đủ khoảng 2.000 từ, chia thành 4 phần rõ ràng. Mở đầu, đinh điểm, twist, kết cục. Bạn muốn tôi tiếp tục không? Bạn đã nói viết liền không cần chia mục. ChatGPT đã nói. Rất tốt. Dưới đây là toàn bộ câu chuyện dạng kịch bản. Kể chuyện dài 2 ngành từ đúng phong cách Mỹ. Kể chuyện ngôi thứ nhất, không lồi thoại, không rao giảng đạo đức, nhưng đủ để chạm đến cảm xúc người nghe, xem trên YouTube hoặc radio. Nội dung bám sát tình huống, bạn đưa một người đàn ông da đen bị cảnh sát da trắng làm khó. Và cuối cùng, họ phải đối mặt với hậu quả nghiêm trọng sau khi phát hiện ra danh tính thật sự của anh. Tuesday Guy. E. They pulled me over because I was black. They didn't know I was the new chief. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't driving recklessly. I wasn't even in a hurry. Just another day. Another stretch of highway, and a borrowed breeze blowing through the open windows of my rental. The only thing I had on my mind was the town up ahead. Mapleton small place, quiet. The kind of place where you still wave at your neighbors and bake pies for newcomers. They brought me back to the station anyway, maybe to stall, maybe to confirm something. Maybe because once you commit to a mistake, it's easier to double down than to back down. More specifically, I was the man about to take over as their new police chief. I'd taken the job because I believed in change, because I believed small towns deserved integrity just as much as big cities did. And maybe in some part of me, because I wanted to prove that leadership didn't always come wearing the same old face. But the two officers pulling up behind me didn't know any of that. All they saw was a black man in a dark car with out-of-state plates rolling through their county like he owned it. I watched the lights dance in my mirror, red and blue flickers spinning like the beginning of a very predictable movie. I pulled over without hesitation, parked EG smoothly on the shoulder, turned off the engine, and placed both hands on the steering wheel. I knew the routine. I'd lived it taught. It briefed it. But knowing the steps doesn't make the performance any less humiliating. They approached slowly, one on each side, mirrored sunglasses, stiff jawlines, rehearsed aggression. I could feel their tension before a single word was spoken. Not fear, something different, something harder to name, like contempt wrapped in policy. They didn't ask for my name first. They asked if the car was mine. The next day was my official swearing in. It wasn't curiosity. It was confirmation. They weren't looking for answers. They were looking for something to justify the way they already felt. I gave them nothing. No attitude. No panic. No sudden movements. Just calm, quiet, cooperation. It wasn't my first stop, and it probably wouldn't be my last, but I could feel it deep in my gut. This one would be different. They asked me to step out. I did. They patted me down like I was holding secrets under my skin. Their hands weren't careful, and neither were their assumptions. One of them, the younger one, smelled of coffee and the kind of deodorant that promises toughness in its commercials. He asked me if I'd ever been arrested. Before I said no, he asked again, like he couldn't believe it. I gave them my ID. They looked at it, looked at me, then back at the ID. You could almost hear the confusion forming behind their sunglasses. They asked if it was real. I said nothing. They put me in cuffs anyway. Just to be safe, they said. Just protocol. It's strange, being the one in charge, knowing that the same uniform that once justified their actions now answers to the man they tried to humiliate. But I didn't come here for revenge. I came here for change, and change doesn't come with shouting. It comes with patience, discipline, and truth. Most days, no one brings up what happened, but sometimes I catch someone looking at me a little too long, like they're still trying to make sense of it all. A black man in a badge walking the halls. They thought they understood. That's fine. Let them stare. Because I didn't take this job to be comfortable. I took it to be seen. And now, they have no choice.